Well, January has been a big month already for public TV. Sherlock, Victoria.
And this week, another fan favorite returns, the Civil War era medical drama Mercy Street.
It's one of the eras that Christian Michael Schuster draws inspiration from, and sometimes even from the battlefield itself.
Brad Austin has this profile of the man behind the clothing line Christian Michael.
The more I thought about it, as an artist, if you're not pushing yourself to try something new, if you're not expanding the palette in which you work, then what's the point? My name is Christian Michael Schuster, and I'm a menswear and womenswear fashion designer from Kansas City, Missouri. I've always been a menswear designer and had really stayed true to my guns in that. I'm a tailor, and that's what I know, pattern sewing and cutting and drafting. And I'd always felt that my design sense and design eye was around menswear. So I started to become very excited about the idea of producing a first women's wear collection, but at the same time, staying very true to who I am. So we're gonna rebrand, do a complete women's wear collection under She by Christian Michael, and then a complete menswear collection by Christian Michael, and it adds up to essentially 2 separate collections, 12 looks each, 24 looks total, and 53 pieces of clothing. So along with the Christian Michael Modern Menswear fashion label, I also run a business as the Civil War tailor, doing some custom costuming for the right clients. Civilian men's Civil War era, and it's really about class from an economic standpoint. So this is going to be like a middle income to upper income, which is really based on the frock coat and the length of the frock coat. So it's all natural material with the wool, but because it's a single-breasted frock coat, they like to pair print on solids and match colors and prints together very well. I started going out as a boy and spending weekends with reenactors and learned that it was so much more than just a living history site. It was an opportunity to learn from all these gentlemen, because all of them are all amateur historians in their own individual right. It's to the point now as a reenactor where I really truly enjoy going to an event, grabbing my gear and getting dressed, leaving my car on a Friday, turning my phone off and detaching from the world, not coming back until Sunday, and living on the ground. It's not really about sides for me, it's more about the history, you know? And I really enjoy doing both sides of the war from a reenacting standpoint, so boom. And then these are my real scales. Wow. You look like Grant almost. You really do, especially with that beard, that's great. I grew up drawing a lot of Victorian era, Civil War era, and Napoleonic era uniforms. I was absolutely in love with just their detail and all of the pompous accents and everything that made them outlandish and stand out on the field. This is my Confederate staff officer's military uniform. It's a double-breasted officer's frock coat featuring sleeve braid, custom buttons, and shoulder collar ranking. So the sleeve braid is essentially a piece of the Confederate uniform that helped designate rank. I transfer paper it onto the wool and then pick stitch and hand stitch each individual row of these. Each one of these rows took me about an hour to an hour and a half to stitch on there. Another point that I use in all of my costumery, especially in the Civil War side, are period correct hand stitched buttonholes. These buttonholes average about 80 to 90 stitches per individual buttonhole and take me about an hour per buttonhole. This jacket features 9 buttonholes on this individual jacket just for the front alone. The lieutenant colonel and a staff officer's frock, the rank is also denoted on the collar rank as well as the sleeves, and you can see that by having 2 stars on each side of the collar. My love and initial interest in the hobby was so much around the costuming that it led into the fashion side. And my first ever runway collection with Kansas City Fashion Week was very uniform inspired, very Victorian and military era. You could really truly see the transition of my love for that time period in the fashion, and I've always kind of stayed true to that.